Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I got my guy, the delusional Knicks fan in the building. It's been a minute. Always a pleasure to have you on. How you been, brother?
I've been good. Just traveling for work, but ready to get talking about some Knicks, some
No
crazy
doubt.
stuff going on right now. So
Yeah, the trade deadline is, tomorrow, 3 p.m. This is gonna be my last show before it. So, I mean? I tried to come as late as possible, see if something happened, but it looked like nothing happening right now. I'm watching that Cavs game, watching that score. Cavs versus Washington. It's
Cat's been on
97.
fire.
Yeah, they have. I already booked it as a win, but Washington fighting. It's close. 97-92. Fourth quarter, 4 minutes left. Um, DC's down, but yeah, let's see. We'll see what happens. I'll keep y'all posted for sure.
Let's see.
Um, Knicks and Bruises injury update. Brunson has been listed as questionable for tomorrow. Um, I just asked you if you saw the last game. You say you just watched it last night. What was your thoughts when Brunson went down? And obviously couldn't come back in down the stretch after we almost gave the game away. Up 26-27. They
So
cut
let
it
me
down to
let
four
me
at one
initially
point.
break it down on what happened. So I was at work, so checking in my phone and seeing like Nick's Twitter in shambles. First of all, people is like, "Yo, what's going on? Oh man, everybody's injured. No, not Brunson." Pray emojis, gifts of like people losing their minds. So I'm like, "Wait, what's going on? What's going on?" Didn't really see anything. Then of course I saw the highlight of Brunson spraining that ankle, and from the looks of it, I thought it was like, oh, he's out for weeks from that initial looks. So that's when I went on Twitter and asked everybody, like, yo, I didn't see the game. How was it? Did he, walk off on his own accord? Did he stay in the game? People was like, nah, he said give him a second. He went, sat to the bench by himself, but then he didn't come back into the game. Then, of course, later on, they saying that how he was walking all gingerly on himself, no boot or anything in that. So I was like, all right, I've had high ankle sprains before in a sense and was able to kind of shake it off a day or two and come back. So I'm skeptical. Even with them putting out this report of saying that he's questionable, I just think it's just a precaution. And you can see with the Knicks medical staff, they're gonna keep you out until you're ready to come back. But knowing Brunson, I think Brunson is gonna fight through it because our next game, I believe, is against Indy, right? So not Indy, was the
His
Kyrie, right? In Dallas. So that's a game that we need to be full strength. And I think Brunson wants to play. That's his old team that didn't give him the bag. So I think Brunson should be good to go. But will be truly devastated if we get that DMP or out for Brunson. Definitely when
Yeah.
we're on the verge of potentially getting the second seed. Like I'm pushing for the second seed hard this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough road to try to get there, considering the Cavs. Actually, let me get back to that Cavs score. Let y'all know that, but the Cavs got the easiest schedule, rated schedule down the stretch. You know what I mean? They already got the lead right now on us in the standings, so it's gonna be a uphill battle to get there. Um, Even with Brunson, I feel like the Mavs is gonna be a tough matchup.
Oh yeah.
Remember that last game, Luca was out. I'm pretty sure he's back now. So now we gotta deal with Kyrie and Luca. So let's not forget that.
Yep.
Yeah. Some people say sit him because they don't think we can win. We can win that game and let him get that extra rest.
No, that is true. That makes sense in that aspect. But we're dealing with Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks brass. Even with me, as crazy as it sounds, and I know we should prepare and have ourselves ready for playoffs. But I'm like, I'm I'm tired of having like not necessarily mediocre seasons, but I want 50-win seasons, man. Like I want to get back into, dominance. Like, yes, everybody's saying Knicks is here, Knicks are ready, but I want us to prove us in that numbers, but not at the risk of Brunson getting re-injured. Um, but Tibbs, if you can play, you're gonna play.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. I hope circumstances makes him change that philosophy a little bit, just in the sense of, I mean, we guys are dropping, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So if he's not 100%, I wouldn't even be mad if we sat him
yeah,
a game until he got there. Um, this All-Star break, we spoke about it last show, the All-Star break. He's participating in the 3-point contest and the All-Star game, so there's no real break for him there.
nope,
You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, coming off the Olympics, you know what I mean, extended off season, like this is a lot of mileage. You know what I mean, and we want him to go deep into the playoffs for us,
pause.
uh, deep into the playoffs. So yeah, you talking one game and compare it to the big scheme of things. I
Right.
get it. Uh, Um, I wouldn't be mad at it at all. But yeah, it's not likely with Tibbs.
No.
But if you had to put a guess on it, he plays or he doesn't tomorrow, based off the questionable. Um, what would your guess be?
I think he plays. I think Brunson plays. I think his podcast, they put out a photo of him and Josh sitting there, and he had on some Chucks.
Okay,
So, and I'm like, if I got ankle issues, I'm definitely ain't walking around in no Chucks. So I think he's good. I think he's good to go tomorrow.
let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah, I actually would say the same thing, just for the fact that the reports were he left the arena. You know what I mean? No boot, walked on his own, no limp. Um, so just off that and the questionable, I think he'll at the very least give it a go. But yeah, man, we need him. We don't need nobody else dropping. We need to figure that out.
And like I
Um,
said, it might gives other guys opportunity to kind of showcase, Malachi Flynn. He's been coming off in limited minutes, but get to really see what he can do in more spot minutes. We already know what Deuce can do in the sense Deuce showed up occasionally, but can he run the team? Um, then it's like, yeah, really, who would control it besides DiVincenzo, honestly?
that's right.
So it would be a sad game to to watch in a sense, but nevertheless, somebody got to step up.
Yeah, yeah. At least I mean, not even saying. I mean, obviously we want the win, but not saying they could beat them. But you know what I mean. Show something. Show something that we didn't see. Show
Yeah.
Tibbs something that he didn't see. You know what I mean. Whatever the case. But yeah, I think Brunson's good to go. Um, Next thing I want to talk about is the marketing to the Knicks. I don't even know where this came from. You know what I mean? Just scroll through Bleacher Report. Somebody threw something out there about it. I don't see it happening. I know there are reports that the Jazz are willing to move marketing, but um, can you see an interest? And if so, I would assume this means Randall's maybe not coming back, or they know it's going to be extended longer than projected. But I don't think they would know that this soon, unless you know what I mean. There was a
Right.
setback. But other than that, I don't see it, and it's not because of fit, because he can pretty much kind of do it all and put the ball and shoot the ball as well. So I could definitely see a role. But even with the reports that Mitch, which we're gonna get into, also maybe coming back right after the All-Star break. I don't see this. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I had to take a close look at the marketing to remotely figure out why would he be thrown out, and I think it's solely due to his money. He makes 17 million this year, and he makes 18 million next year. So that money comes into play with the Fournier, where the Knicks can make that trade. It's something that they can do. Will it something that they do? Not necessarily. He's a small forward, power forward, center in the case, right? 23 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, legit 7-footer. The way that Hartenstein has been playing, you have to cut out the center position with Hartenstein and Mitch. So the center position is done to kind of fill
Mhm.
that spot. Then of course we go to the power forward position. With Julius out, we see how Precious has been playing. The Precious makes way less money than 17 million. And he will be a backup, and then of course you have Julius. The way Julius been playing for us this year, I think he at least saved him some time to, if he would get traded, it would not be this season. It will have to be something further down the line. So that crosses out that power forward position. Salute, salute. Then you go to the small forward position. We literally just got OG. Then of course you have Josh that's playing that backup small forward position. So that position is kind of already filled. Can you upgrade with marketing? Yes, you can. Technically, you can trade Fournier and some picks and have him play the 5. But then that still doesn't help out with the additional ball handling position that you really need. So that's why I don't think the Knicks will kind of go forth with that trade. Just like you said, you just throwing the real out there to see what you can get. If you was going to throw in Clarkson and marketing, then that's maybe something that we can look into and see. But if it's just marketing, I wouldn't pull a trigger on that. Not this, and he's a great player. Like he would be solid. He could space the floor for us. Like you said, he can put the ball on the floor, can draw double teams that we need. But at this juncture right now, I can't see the Knicks pulling the trigger for this because it's not the need that we need right now.
Exactly my point. It really just doesn't make sense. I mean, every other aspect makes sense in the sense that um here's what I say. If I heard we traded for marketing tonight, I would think there's another trade coming by 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Right.
Just to kind of sort things out. But where he does fit is that contract that extends past this year. You know what I mean? Definitely has value as a movable piece, not just because of the contract, but because of the player. So he does fit a bunch of the longer term boxes. But yeah, it doesn't make sense unless Randall has a setback, and I don't think they would know that right now. But yeah, that was my thoughts on that. Mitch coming back before the All-Star. I mean, after the All-Star break. My thing is the sooner the better, just to get reacclimated, get the timing and everything back. But number one, I think we all agree that he would and should be starting off the bench once he comes back. Not immediately getting that starting position back, even if whether he gets it or not is another question. But to come back, definitely run with that second unit. We agree with that, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Bro, the way Hardenstein is playing, like the offense alone just looks totally different with the spacing, the cuts. Tibbs never really allowed Mitch to do that, or maybe that's not even in Mitch's game. So I wouldn't know, because remember, Hardenstein always had the capability of doing this, and Tibbs still didn't let him do that when he was running with the second unit as much. So I don't know what transpired for him to say, okay, yeah, now I feel comfortable with him doing that. I'm like, you should have just done that from the beginning.
Wait, which part? The
As far as like having Hartenstein kind of run the offense from the mid-range post for him to kind of set the back screen. So he was doing it occasionally, but it's a lot more now.
Yeah, but I think it started more in the second unit than it did in the first unit. I think, you know what I mean, like, because he played minutes with the first unit
Right.
at times, but we didn't see it earlier.
Right.
You know what I mean? We only saw that with the second unit, where he had I'll say an expanded role.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now I do agree. We're starting to see it whenever he's playing, whoever's out there with him. You know what I mean? People know if you could cut back door, he's gonna find you. The give and go is going with him. You know what I mean? Give it to him and cut real quick. There's a bunch of them, and that pass last night, I don't know if you remember it. He had this like scoop pass to Precious. Precious was cutting on the baseline. So somebody passed it to Hartenstein. He was facing the rim, could have attacked the rim, but ended up doing a little scoop pass to Precious for the dunk. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that one from him. So yeah, that's definitely expanded part of his offense. Um, what are you looking for from Mitch coming back? Um, yeah,
Well, with Mitch, just let him get his conditioning in. I actually want him to take his time. As far as just to get the conditioning in, make sure the ankle is legit because this is not the first time he had ankle injury. So, definitely don't want that to be a reoccurring situation. So let him gradually take his time back. My thing is, as long as he's back at least a month before playoffs, I'm good. Where he can get back into the rhythm, see how it is, and bring him off the bench, like you said. And honestly, play defense, rebound, be a presence. Same what he was doing before. I'm not really worrying about the putbacks and all of that, but it's really just be that anchor on defense to help out with that second unit. Because, like I said, that second unit, even against the Jazz, that second unit allowed the Jazz to come back. So if Mitch is out there being a presence in the paint, being able to contest shots, that can probably at least slow it down so we can hold teams to legit under 100 points. So that's what I'm looking for from Mitch.
no doubt, no doubt. Same for me. I agree definitely with the take it slow. I don't want Tibbs you to. I don't want Mitch to come back and then immediately Sims goes back to situational. You know what I mean? Let Mitch get his minutes up
Sims might be gone,
slowly.
baby.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He may
My man
be,
got the
but
illness.
he may be, but you know what I mean. Like I want you to slow pace it with him. You know what I mean? Let him get the conditioning back slow. Even and again, even I'm not ruling out Mitch getting his starting spot back. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think it has to be a climb to it. You know what I mean? And a reason for it. Maybe obviously not wishing anything for or on it. So I won't even say injury. Maybe a flu and Hartenstein is out and Mitch got to start, and then that becomes the progression of it. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
don't want it just thrown back at it, and I want it definitely not to start. You know what I mean? Like earn that way back up. But
Well,
but
don't forget, Tibbs. Don't mean to cut you off. Tibbs has a history of whenever a player gets injured, obviously the next man step up. But then, soon as that they cleared to come back, he
yeah,
doesn't gradually bring you back. You're back in the starting lineup playing,
that's true.
30 plus minutes. So,
He's on record saying, "I don't believe you should lose your starting spot for injury." He's on record saying that 100%. And I ain't gonna front. I want to see OG gotta get back, but I want to see OG Mitch. You know what I mean? Together and see what that does. Along with what I mean, DiVincenzo's defense is pretty good. It you know what I mean. So I want to see what that looks like. I know we'll see it whether he starts or not. Um, but I definitely want to see that.
totally.
Um, Murray sat tonight, back back issue or whatever. I throw the air quotes on that.
Yep.
We got some competition, whether we're in the mix or not. But they say the Pelicans are in play. You know what I mean? The Lakers have re-engaged. Who was the other team? The Lakers. I think they need a third team if they're gonna do that. What's your thoughts on Murray? I spoke on it yesterday, or Monday, but what's your thoughts on Murray?
So,
And your who's on the top of your wish list? If
ooh,
if we could go top three.
throwing me on the spot. So Murray, dynamic player right now. When Trey went down, this man was averaging like 26, 7, and 7, shooting over 40%, and like high 30s on a three. So he's a covenant player. This is a player that people is gonna want. Um, he's probably number one on my list for as far as a Tibbs player and someone that can make a difference with what the Knicks need as a secondary ball handler. Someone that has height, someone that can plays defense. He played under the Spurs system, so he understands that style of coaching. So when he comes here, it's nothing new. So Murray makes sense. Now, would it happen? I don't know because I don't know what the Nick brass has planned for as far as their superstar player that they want to go for or their plan. So that's what's keeping me at bay because I think it should be number one. And if Murray was the guy, I truly believe the Knicks would have already done that deal.
Mm.
Remember, whenever they see something they want, they gonna do it. You know, it's not gonna be at the trade deadline. It's not gonna be when they have limited times. That OG trade came out of nowhere. You know, the Josh Hart trade kind of came out of nowhere. The
Do, do you think they know the asking price and don't want and think it's too high? Or do you think they gave their offer and maybe Atlanta is checking the field?
I think it's the second one, like you said. I think Knicks put out what they wanted to do. They put out a fielder. And Atlanta is just surveying the field. What else can I get? Who else can I get? Until it's probably that time period where it's like, all right, I can't get anything better than what this team or that team is presenting, then you're gonna go for that. Because I think that's what mostly every team kind of right now is doing. They're trying to get the best until trade deadline. You know, that's what usually happens when we get this close. Like if this was early December and we're talking about trade situations like this, it could have been done early. But since we're here right now, they're definitely gonna wait to the end, see best offers, and figure out what we can get. But Murray, it's 100%. Like the only issue with that is pushing Dante to the bench. And that style of shooting, coming off the curls and letting it fly per game, that changes the offense. Not to say Brunson can be that person, but taking a ball out of Brunson's hands again, it's like, ah man, how would that mesh on paper and how Knicks fans see it? It's like, oh yeah, that's instant tips guy, but we're just seeing him as an individual rather than seeing it as a team collective. Brunson is, you know, MVP now because of he's taking on more responsibilities and showcasing it. But at full strength with OG, with Murray, with Brunson and Hartenstein and Randall, how would that look as a full team?
Let me ask this: if uh if OG is still out and we did trade for Murray,
Hmm.
could you see a 3 guard lineup until they
Oh,
figured it out?
I totally. We ain't got no other choice. You know, I think Hart will still stay in that starting lineup for the small forward due to him being able to play great defense. And then Murray would only take that to the next level because they're all around the same height. You know, Murray's what 6'4", Josh is what 6'5", 6'6". So he can switch over and guard occasional threes. I wouldn't want that to happen, but
Yeah,
it's a switchable situation, similar to what they're doing with Dante now. So 100%, 100%.
yeah. Pardon me. Murray's my high on my list too.
All right.
Um,
So hold on, I could give
I,
you
I,
my two
I
and
go
three
back
real
and
quick
yeah, I go back and
before we go.
forth with whether he's number one. But go ahead.
So my two, and I'm probably gonna get, you know, thrown out the window for my two because it's technically not a Tibbs player, but I think that it would take us to another stratosphere. Is go get DeRozan. Let's go get DeRozan. See what it costs first to get DeRozan. And yes, it's a rental, but Toronto took that chance on a rental and got a chip. Not to say that, you know, DeRozan is a Kawhi player, but he can be that Kawhi situation for us as far as someone that fits what we need. You know, he's their secondary ball handler in Chicago. He gets to the line, slow it down, has playoff experience, tough, 6'6", play defense, mid-range jump shot. The only thing is the three-point shooting and how well can he fit in the scheme. That's just, you know, I know guys, that's just my number two. You know, DeRozan is my number two. I know nobody wants to, but
And
I
let
think
me,
it's a big difference for when we play Boston and we got to deal with Boston and their height. It matches up if you got OG on Tatum and you got DeMar on Brown. That's a matchup that is like, all right,
we match
it's
up.
however we want to do defensively. I can live with that. That's the reason. That's the only reason why, and it's the Boston Celtics really of why I would think about that trade. And it's only a rental, so you got that money coming off the caps, and we could figure out what else we can do there. Yes, you lose one draft pick, but that can be Dallas, you know, 2024 pick that we know we're not going to get until later on because they're pretty much winning. So,
What
well,
about the people who want, or the what about the speculation that the Knicks want a contract that extends so they
right,
can use it? I mean, because then if you get the Rosen, you lose that whole opportunity. That whole aspect goes out the window
one
unless you
hundred percent,
re-sign them. Unless you re-sign them and then trade them at the trade deadline. You know what I mean?
right,
6 months in.
and
Um,
that's why I don't think it's going to happen. Honestly, that's just me like wishfully thinking that it's just like me like, hey guys, this if
my
you
only
get
other
go
no,
ahead.
my bad. I think you already answered it, but my only other question was, so again, you moved Dante to the bench, right? Because
Yeah,
you would start. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
Dante will have to. I think any situation that the Knicks trade for, except for Brogdon, would have to be in that starting lineup because, like I said, it's either Murray or Brogdon. I think those are the only real true because Brogdon is my number three. It's really just them two that only make sense for the Knicks to do, unless and what the Knicks will surprise us and pick up somebody else that we like. Wait, who? Where? That's a CAA client and been balling on the low that we haven't really been paying attention to. So, like you said, and people been throwing out Colin Sexton's name, stuff like that. So we never know what direction the Knicks could go. And Sexton will probably be another player that will fit in off the bench if he takes that role and be solid. You see the aggressiveness that he play with. He just don't back it up sometimes when he do, but other times he's a great player.
Um, Thoughts on Bruce Brown and just another update. The Cavs, I'm pretty sure they won. They was up 7. Um, and Brown, the Jazz have interest in the Brown, so he might be another guy that gets knocked off the table. If they pull that off.
Right. So Bruce Brown, another guy, another 6'4" guy, another guy that I see as a Josh
Trip
Hart,
guy.
with a better jump shot in a sense. Can I see him as that secondary ball handler? I don't know. Is he a playmaker? I haven't really seen him been a more playmaker. When he won the chip in Denver, it was just him being aggressive, him just attacking and doing what he doing, not necessarily setting up the guys or things of that nature. So maybe that's an option. It doesn't do it for me, per se. For me, looking at his game and what I think we need, it's just like, nah, I don't think it makes sense to get another Bruce Brown because, and then of course Tibbs would probably want to use him to play small forward and things of that nature, and it's just like, nah, Tibbs,
You,
that's
you know, the crazy thing is, I'm not the biggest fan. I mean,
mhm,
I'm a fan of him and his game,
mhm.
but he literally, like you say, small forward. He plays center and point guard for the Nets. You know what I mean? So I mean, and so it's like I don't hate it and I don't love it. You know what I mean? I think he's better than Josh Hart. I think he does all the things Josh Hart does plus. You know what I mean? Because I think the ball handling is a little better. I think
Mhm,
the shooting is a little better. You
mhm.
know what I mean? I wouldn't want either one of them playing the 4 or the 5, but they both. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I've seen him do it, and I know Josh. He don't care who he's defending. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's gonna give that same effort. They definitely like the Spider-Man meme. I agree.
Yep.
A lot of people say it's too redundant, but
Yep.
I I wouldn't just totally dismiss it. Bottom of the list for me as well.
So do you know
Um,
what his the money situation with him? Is he on the books for 2 more years or
he got
is
he
1
got
more?
a player option. I mean a team option for 21.
Ah, okay.
So you know what
Okay,
I mean.
so the
It'll be a
money's
little
still
yeah.
there. Then of course they can utilize that later on. Okay, so I can see it. It just don't push that needle for me as far as someone that we can say, hey, here's the ball, kind of run the team as far as more of a Brogdon would do in a sense.
I agree, but I think I would prefer him over Brogdon.
Okay.
and only because like I know Brogdon is more of a pure point. You know what I mean? Like he could run the show, starting or second unit. You know what I mean? Alongside Brunson at times as well. But I think Brogdon's number one. His injury history and concern is the biggest thing for me. Like we don't need another unreliable guy on this team. You know what I mean? And I say that in availability. You know what I mean? We don't need a guy that might like Brunson and him might be out at the same time. You know what I
Bro,
mean?
yeah,
Like
we don't need that.
so I like the durability of Bruce Brown, and I also like the fact that you know what I mean. Like this is another guy with championship experience that really just does it all. And then two things that really factor in, and just comparing those two,
Hmm.
why I go Bruce Brown. He on record vocalizing what he is for Tibbs or what Tibbs is for him, and you know what I mean, what he could do, and basically he want to be here. Brogdon, on the other hand, has expressed verbally him wanting to be important and stay
Right.
in Portland. So those two aspects, like I ain't trying to bring you here against your will. I want somebody who is gonna come here and give it they all and want to be a part of the process. You know what I mean? And utilize their value. Not saying Brunson's gonna dog it or anything of that nature, but mentally, if you didn't want to be here, I'd much rather have the guy that wants to.
Right.
Um, Anybody else on the market? I like Sexton as well. I'll touch on that part with pause. Oh, Sexton would fit, I think, in the second unit. I think he brings an offensive spark, like a defensive, um, kind of like aggression. I'm not mad at Sexton. I liked him before the Jazz got him because he was a free agent, right? That was a signing trade with
Yeah, I
Donovan
think it
Mitchell.
was either a sign and trade or he was part of the trade.
No, he was. I
From
mean, he was part of the trade with
right.
Donovan Mitchell, but they
Yeah.
had to sign him and do it.
Okay, okay,
You
okay.
know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
free
yeah, yeah.
agent. So yeah, I always liked his game. He fits. Clarkston, I think he fits, but he doesn't bring the pure ball handling, and I think he's more just of an offensive guy, or I shouldn't say less of a facilitator. I think he's worked on it a little bit, but not exactly what we need.
So Clarkson is in like he's in my fourth spot with that. And I think that probably would be a good option for the Knicks if they kind of need that scoring off the bench and stuff. Because he's a flamethrower. You know, he's someone that can be the J.R. Smith that we had prior before, someone that can catch fire. But when he came to the Garden, we locked that up. So you know that kind of turned a lot of people off with him, you know, being put on lock. So
And
it's
I heard he's on record of wanting to be here too.
yes, yes. I mean, come on, it's the Garden now. We rocking. So it's a good thing that these guys want to come and play. So they probably bring their all. But and even with honestly, Tone, I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks just stay pat. You know, I wouldn't be surprised because when you really think about it, if you bring a Brogdon over, he's going to need 20 plus minutes. So now what? We're just bringing Deuce back to situational mode, and he's been playing well and playing great defense. Um, you're going to take some time away from Dante, who's been in inferno mode for us right now. And Michael's right, yeah, yeah. Danny Ainge he's going to want that tax, so definitely right about that. Staffer, you right. We got to save Brunson from himself, but I think once we in full strength, we should be able to because you know Dante could play some one. You can move Hart over at the two or need be, or you know Deuce play the two occasionally. So Tibbs will mix it up. He'll mix it up eventually, but I think the Knicks can stay pat as well and wait till everybody get back healthy because then once we're healthy and let's say we make a trade and we're healthy, somebody's not going to get minutes.
So if we're talking about guys that are not under contract next year, I might put Alec Burks one,
Mm.
and then DeRozan. Um, Alec Burks, I just know we already know what he could do. He comes back to what his original role was. I mean, I shouldn't even say original role because I think he will be point guard, but in the second unit, you know what I mean. But when I said original role, I really meant the two guard, but he'll be playing the one in the second unit. I think he's fine there. You know what I mean. He's not starting at the one. Obviously, what drove everybody crazy, but you know what he is. He's a bucket. You know what I mean. Like it's ball handling. He's not the best facilitator in the world, but I think we could figure that part out with whoever's on that on the floor with him in the second
Mhm.
unit. But yeah, familiarity, and you know that he's gonna accept whatever role it is, you know what I mean, on any given night, expanded or reduced. So that would be my number one guy as far as people who aren't under contract after this year.
I
Um,
like it.
I've been on the DeRozan train. I think he fits. Um, I'm actually torn about messing up the starting unit. Um, I go back and forth on it. Sometimes I don't want to mess it up because they playing so well. I mean, literally one of the best in the league. You know what I mean? Since well, before the injuries and since the new year. So yeah, I worry about DiVincenzo, but I do think we still need a better ball handler in the second unit, and putting DiVincenzo there, he would be that. You know what I mean? He would be our best ball handler in the second unit. So I do think it does help both. You know what I mean? Like that could work. Um, I don't know if I have another guy who's not under contract after this year. Maybe Olenek, but I mean I'm not super high on him. Same, I'm not really super high on any big. Uh,
Well, having a stretch big will be helpful, but yeah.
it would, but you know what I mean. Seeing what Hartenstein has done, and just getting the news that Mitch, you know what I mean, is ahead of schedule. I'm like I'd
He's
rather
ready.
rock out with Precious, who could shoot it a little bit. You know what I mean, or isn't afraid to. What you know what I mean. Whatever the percentages are, not great, but he's not afraid to put it to
Right.
shoot the ball. So let him keep working on that, developing that. I think he'll be all right there. I like Murray as far as the guys under contract. He's number one for sure. I think he's the most talented. I think he fits. I said that when we got Brunson and they was talking about trading for Mitchell. I thought Murray was a better fit then. You know what I mean? Than Donovan Mitchell.
Hmm.
I'm not still on that stance, but I still like the fit next to Brunson. Um, if I thought there was a possibility that he would accept the backup point guard role with the opportunity to close, I would say go get him, and you know what I mean, go do it, because I don't know what the exact cost is and if that's what's the hold up or what, but I like his fit long term, and I think he's a more movable asset as far as for his talent and being under contract. So I think teams will still be interested down the road. He's not expiring next year, but that's a whole nother story. Then I'll probably go Bruce Brown. You know, if you flip in Fournier, you go from 18 to 21. So that's a couple more dollars under contract expiring that you can move. Um, but yeah, he does it all. You know what I mean? He's just an NBA player. Like Tip says about Josh, I don't know what position he is. He's just a basketball player. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's the exact same thing, but better. You know what I mean? Much better ball handler, better shooter, um, probably a little bit more versatile offensively as far as position wise. And Josh Hart might be a better defender. Might. You,
I
you,
think so.
you know what I mean? But he's no slouch on the defensive end. So he fits for sure. Um I'm drawing a blank on my last guy. But yeah, man, this I don't know what's gonna happen, man. If you had to put money on it, because you mentioned staying pat. Um what would be your bet as of right now? Because we you know what I mean, we're gonna dip out of here like 5 minutes.
So
If you were betting on by 3 p.m., do the Knicks do a move or not?
I don't think they do a move. So I don't think they do a move. I think is a reason why they put out the medical reports of the players. You know, like Mitch should be back. You know, Randall should be back after All-Star break and stuff like that. So that's stating that all right, cool. We could be in full strength coming back. And you know, those guys play heavy minutes anyway. So if we make something to make a shift, where's the minutes? You know, ultimately that's where we so. I don't think we're going to be in panic mode to say, "Hey, we need to keep the streak going." We're sitting high, we're sitting high and tight right now at the top of the food chain. So, yeah, we can drop to lower six or whatever, but I think we can still, after All Star break, get the team full strength and kind of come back and still have all the draft picks, all the capital. Because even with Fournier, they can pick up the player option and then fish him next year. And he could just sit on the bench and still make 18 million. And they can make a trade then and there for it. So I think we definitely stay put.
Um, I think I think they get Burks if nothing else.
Mm.
I think they get Burks if nothing else. Maybe that's the thing though. He makes 10 million.
Okay, I was just about
I,
to ask how much he makes.
I'm pretty sure it's 10 million. So it might be like they under the cap, but I mean, it might have to be like 2 trades or something funny, just because I don't think they want to do Fournier. Um, I don't think they necessarily want to do Grimes in that scenario. So I think it has to be like maybe one of the trade exceptions if that gets you close enough, whatever the
Right.
highest one is. You know what I mean? I think one might be 6, one might be 7, or one might be 5, one might be 6. So if they could do the trade exception and you know cash consideration, I could see them doing that. Is there another guy on Detroit? Oh, I mean the Bo Bondanovich. I don't see that happening. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's another one. That he has an expiring contract as well, right?
oh yes, yes, yes.
So,
So if they could do that with Fournier and somehow package those two,
but you know they're gonna want picks. So, what you throw out like 3 or 4 second round picks, or
you give them 2 seconds, and I'll give them back their first.
okay,
Their first is not going to convey. It's more valuable to them
then to us in a sense,
than
right?
to us. Um, 2 seconds,
No, if
Fournier.
I'm giving them their first back, then they just getting their
Yep.
first back.
I mean, I mean,
Either way, right?
whatever it is, I know we got a lot of seconds as well, but yeah, whatever it is, you know, what I mean, nothing too crazy. I wouldn't give them no other first than theirs though.
But
Um, somebody said no Ivy. J Tap always tapping it. He says no Ivy. If we could get Ivy too, you know what I mean.
yeah, but you know that's gonna
Just
come
gonna.
with a price.
I mean, he don't play. They don't play him.
Really?
Yeah, he's been out the rotation. I mean, he might be back in it, but he was out the rotation a long time. Um, I mean, that was a long losing streak, but during that losing streak, he was out the rotation.
And I could see him being a bench production player for the Knicks. You know, someone that can just kind of go and get a bucket. So we'll see what it costs.
Um, yeah, shoot, man, put them 2 seconds back on the table. If you throw an Ivy in
So
there,
an Ivory get those 2 seconds definitely.
but let's say they do stand pat like you think they may.
Mhm.
Anybody on the buyer's market, I don't know if you even
Ooh,
thought that far or not, but I mean the reports have been. I was on a train early, saying I could see them um grabbing Larry. Actually, it wasn't Larry. It was another point guard. Um,
they
because I
mentioned
don't,
Laurie too as well, though. If he
yeah,
was,
yeah. No, Larry is more recent though. It was
yeah,
another point guard that I had in mind that I mentioned. But let's say Larry now, and Hayward. You know what I mean? Off the
Oh,
buyout. You know what I
Gordon,
mean?
Gordon.
And
So
and I always say that because they've always had interest in him for years. That you know what I mean? Like this front office, and so Tibbs as well.
So this, I think, would be the Knicks' 100% move as far as not making a trade because they might have insight on who's going to be being bought out. With having that CAA connection, being connected close to these agents, they might do that. And I would rather go that option because it's no risk, high reward situation in that. If I can go and get a Kyle Lowry, someone who's been proven, someone who's won a chip, why not? Why not have him run that second unit? Why not be a locker room presence, in a sense, and someone that could just go out and give you spot minutes, someone that can shoot the three. Yes, he's another short individual, but Villanova cat. So it's a situation that, hey, why not? And then even Gordon Hayward. Now, Gordon Hayward would be a big difference. But then that's like, isn't with the buyout market. Obviously, you could go wherever you want to, but would he want to come here? Would the Lakers might swoop him up?
They can't. The new CBA. Certain teams that are over the apron. I don't know if it's the apron
Ah,
or just the cap. They can't grab anybody
I might have to do some
off of the waiver
research
wire.
on that.
So there's a limited amount of teams. It's like 5 teams that can't touch nobody.
Mm.
So whoever those highest payroll teams are, you know what I mean, they can't touch nobody off the waiver wire. So that gives us a better advantage, you know what I mean? Number one. And
Mm.
number two, we back. You know what I mean? Like we got players that are under contract that talk about wanting to play for us. So I'm sure these guys, you know what I mean, they're gonna weigh their options, but Hayward got a history under CAA, I believe. So that conversation might be easily had. Um, Lowry, I think Philly might be his first option, but the
Oh yeah.
unsecurity in that status with Joel and
Oh yeah.
the emergence of Maxi, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that may not be a sure thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we on the list. I can't really think of anybody else who might be on a waiver wire. Any thoughts on that from you? Um, Anybody that might be on the waiver wire?
No, I haven't really checked or looked to see and individuals that really trying to be moved that it's in the buyer's market or the waiver wire. So that's something that I could definitely look into. Um and hold on, let me see. It was someone that I said, oh yeah, see if you could pull up coaches saying, Haywood is no defender. If you could pull that up real quick and we could just kind of touch on the Haywood not necessarily being a defender, but
Wait, pull it us up in the comments.
yeah, in the comments.
Uh,
Coach
there you go.
stating that Haywood is not a defender. Yeah. All right. So, coach, we get Haywood is not a defender, right? But this guy's about 6'7". Tibbs has been high on this man, dude, for him to be able to create. Like he plays basketball well, high IQ individual, someone that could go and get buckets. So for someone for spot up minutes with the second unit, he fit perfect with the second unit. Perfect. So yes, you weren't about the defensive aspect, but he's only going to be in the game to sustain the lead. We're going to be blowing teams out with these starting lineups. And he's going to come in and be able to finally have someone with height, someone that's 6'7", not 6'4", 6'5", 6'2", that can stretch the floor, put the ball on the floor. He's attacked the basket strong. So Haywood is an all-around good player. He's just been on trash teams or very injury prone. And this has come from a player that at one point in his time was averaging over 20 points per game in a sense. So to have that coming off your bench, it's a plus, especially if it's on the buyer's market where you're going to sign for vet men. You go and do that, coach. You go and make that pickup, coach.
Yeah, it's no risk and you know what I mean, slight reward. Because I think he could win you a game in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It might be the only game, but but he could win you a game. You know what I mean? With some he could stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? We going through these stretches, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes without scoring. I know that was only once 7 minutes, but dang, you know what I mean? Like so, and his role is 100, like it's reduced completely. You know what I mean? Like because we're not looking for him to be um Hayward of old. You
Of
know what I
old
mean?
Indy and all of that.
We
No,
can
we don't
take
need to.
old Hayward and be fine. Um, but yeah,
Hold on, Sherman brought up some good stats for us real quick, if you don't mind pulling that up.
um,
Regarding the teams.
here we go. Got you. There are 9 teams in the luxury tax now: Lakers, 76ers, Heat, Denver, Celtics, Bucks, Suns, Clippers, and Warriors. So none of those teams can grab a player off of wait the waiver wire.
All right, so yeah, so we like you said, we pretty much have a clear path in a sense if that's the route that Charlotte goes. And I believe Charlotte was trying to kind of get under the bracket, which is why they got rid of Terry Rozier in a sense like that. So maybe more to come. They're trying to get rid of Miles Bridges as well. So we'll see what transpires from that.
I mean, they've also been on record of, potentially wanting to keep him, but I thought that was a what do you call it, like a tactic, because their
Mhm.
original statement, not there, but the original talk quote that came out of camp early was, or earlier in the year was the the Hornets are open to trading Hayward, but if not, we'll be looking to buy him out. And I'm like, why would they put those out at the same time?
Right.
'Cause I'm like, all right, people are gonna be like, okay, well, but I guess at the same time, that means any one of these teams, if you're interested in them, you got to trade for them because y'all can't get them. Yeah, so I guess that would be a reason to put it out for these teams. You know what I mean? Like maybe one of these teams had a deal that they wanted to work out, get the expiring contract, and you know what I mean, make a run with them. But other than that, that didn't make any sense.
Right. And I'm looking at his money. He makes 31.5. So that's a lot of
That's a lot.
money.
That
It's a
is.
lot of money. So even if I'm thinking of the Hornets, I'll probably just let him ride the bench and just let that money just ride out though,
Right out.
honestly, if I'm thinking as a GM. So buying him out would I don't know.
But but you buying them out, you paying the money no matter what. So you actually saving money by buying them out.
Oh yeah, because it might not be the full
Yeah,
pay in a sense,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So you
Okay.
saving a couple of dollars. And you doing what's right for him in a sense of letting him try to find a contending team that he could, you know, give a little spark. Um, J Tap, he said, Tony, do you think the new apron kind of messes up the trade deadline? I don't ever remember it being so quiet during the deadline. Yeah, I think very few. I think teams have to be extra strategic now, and a lot of moves that they potentially make, they have to be sure about. You know what I mean? So when teams would take a little bit of risk on a guy earlier, or you know what I mean, in the past, and say, hey, if it don't work out, I could always do this, that, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with that apron. There's a lot of things that you can't do now. Trades got to be matched dollar for dollar. You know what I mean? So you don't want to take these risks. A lot of teams are potentially looking, do I want to keep this team right now, or do I want to dump salary so I don't have the luxury tax by the end of the year? You know what I mean? So it's a whole bunch of different I do think it is, I wouldn't say messing it up, because I think overall this is going to make teams make smarter decisions.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately for the league, it's probably going to be a better thing. Um, but it's kind of new, so maybe messing it up now, but in the long run, it'll be good for the league because people are going to have to make better decisions because they're going to be more definitive, more damaging if it's the wrong decision.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. People got to be more strategic. And like I blame I blame the Warriors, for them being the first team to have, all that money and paying all that tax and don't mind paying the tax. And that's where all of that occurred. Was the team don't mind playing the tax? That's when they're gonna build the super team. So now building that second apron is like, all right, then we're gonna just tax you even more. And now, like you said, people are being more strategic of where will this move affect us 3-4 years down the line, 2 years down the line. So that's why everyone is just really mapping it out and being strategic with what they do, because GMs is like, look, or owners rather, it's like, yeah, no, if we're not winning, why am I paying this additional tax?
Yeah, yeah. And the teams that believe, I think they will be willing, but they gotta be sure. A lot of jobs are gonna be on the line because of decisions. Before we get out of here, anybody in chat, if you gotta make a guess, if the Knicks stay pat, make a move, and if you want to give the move that you think they, just the player you think we get, throw it in the chat real quick, and I'm gonna give that like a minute, and then we're gonna get out of here, man. Anything you want to discuss before we get out of here, Delusional? I know
I
it's
just,
been a
I
long
just,
road.
oh, definitely. I just wanted to get past the All-Star break or get to it. Let us get to All-Star break. Um, and the real situation is OG though. Can we talk about OG real quick while everyone is figuring out
Yeah,
what they want
absolutely,
to do?
absolutely.
So
Concern?
yes, yes. So when we first got OG, right, and he came in the first game, he had the little band on his elbow. So I'm like, all right, what is that? Like what's going on? Like usually if you have something like that, is if it's like a bruised or you need something to help with the flexibility and motion, and that's your shooting hand. So that's why I'm truly concerned. Because remember, the corner threes, he was knocking down his corner threes good. Anywhere else on the floor that was a 3-pointer, it was way off. Like, yes, he was still playing defense, still doing that, so that's good. But his offensive game was just like, all right, Tips is trying to equate him in here, hitting the mid range, doing all of that, but any other shot was just like looking crazy. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? So I'm definitely concerned. And mind you, I was the individual that was saying OG probably wouldn't push the needle as much before they did the trade. When he got here and I saw the difference, I'm like, all right, cool, that makes sense. So you darn right I'm concerned now because I could see what this man could do with this team. And how he takes us legit to championship contender when if he's healthy. And that's been the talk with everyone. So that's why everyone feels a type of way is this is nothing new with OG. And then I'm hearing from Twitter that OG's the type of player that if he's injured, he's not going to play until he's 100% healthy in a sense.
I wonder where he got that from.
Mm.
Somebody,
Kawhi, Kawhi.
some championship guy probably rubbed off on him.
And right, a lot of people's right. He only plays a certain amount of games, and out in Toronto, he kind of played a lot of games already this year. So I'm like, Dad, did we hit that mark? Did we hit the benchmark? And then playing with Tibbs had that man out there 44, 43, 42.
He was the guy getting the most minutes. Everybody was complaining about Brunson and I mean Randall to an extent, but OG was the guy getting the most minutes by far.
Oh, by far.
By far.
Yo, Tibbs saw what this man could do, say you ain't coming off.
And you know what the funny thing is? When people talk about the Bulls and Tibbs and the reputation, who you think led them in minutes?
As far as what?
Minutes per game.
From the Bulls or
from the Bulls? From the Derrick Rose Bulls. Luol Deng.
Yeah.
So
Luol Deng.
That I don't foresee that changing. But I can't put the elbow thing on Tibbs because you know what I mean? Like that's
he had
like
that
if it yeah. No, I'm saying if it's legs, that's one thing. You know what I mean, with all the minutes. But you know what I mean? It's not like he's out here taking 22 shots a game.
Right,
You,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, so that's just part of who he is, and part of, yeah, like you said, it's something that he was dealing with beforehand. But yeah,
But the way I
yeah, there
foresee
you go. That's
OG to be
exactly what I was saying.
used is that second, well, him running with that second unit and keeping the offense flowing. Which he did in like maybe 2 games when Tibbs had him with the second unit, and you saw him coming off the curls, hitting mid-range jump shots. So I'm like, yo, that solves your bench issues, honestly. Real talk. That can solve your bench issues. It could give Brunson spot up minutes for him to take a break. You could play him with Julius at the time period. So it's like they could have mixed around with that lineup with that second unit to where it wouldn't have been an issue. Ooh, that's
Yeah,
that's
I think that's a fact.
that's
I think that's a fact, because I mean, even I questioned the trade in the sense of including IQ, but there were people that, you know what I mean, there were RJ guys that I know they can't wait to kind of put some energy, some negative energy towards OG. So yeah, I think he's definitely next in line. Like every year there's a new guy. So yeah, if he's making more than, you know what I mean, if he's our highest paid player, there's gonna be a
oh,
lot of comments and judgments, and
that ain't
I
gonna
don't think he will be though. I
nah.
really don't.
He's gonna
Eh,
get RJ money. He's gonna get probably 24, 25 mil a year.
Oh, Knicks 100. I see you still on the Herb Jones. I like Herb Jones, man, but I don't see it happening. I think he fits. He's a Tibbs guy. He, you know what I mean, he's self-made. I don't see it happening, man. I wouldn't be mad though. Any other comments I want to get to before we get out of here?
But did they make their picks on who they want? I ain't really see anybody.
I was putting them up.
Oh, you put them up. All right, my fault, my fault.
It was,
I was in the
you
zone, man.
know, here we go, here we go. It was a couple. Stay Pat. Shout out to
Okay.
J Tat with Stay Pat. Um, and rest in peace, Pat Stay. I don't know why, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
Phenomenal rapper.
And that breaks would be a good look.
Yeah, here we go. Apollo Brogdon, please. We can't stand Pat. I didn't even mention Brogdon, and Brogdon was my third guy of the
Okay.
under contract guys. I do think he fits. My only concern with him is two. I don't know if he holds the same value as some of the other players being under contract and expiring. Um, I mean, obviously the expiring contract is the value, but
Mhm.
you know what I mean. But my biggest concern is just his injury. Other than that, if he stay healthy he's a true professional, so whether he want to be here or not, I think he's gonna give it his all. I think he fits in perfect 100%. But I don't know. I got soured on his game against us, where he looked disinterested. Where everybody else that we've played over this last month, they felt like they was auditioning. You know what I mean? Other than Clarkston, who we might have just put the clamps on him. You know what I mean? Everybody else looked like they was auditioning. DeMar DeRozan looked like he was auditioning.
You saw
You know what I
that.
mean? Yeah, I mean, like everybody. So last guy, the point guard from the Wizards that was on the Grizzlies, the young kid. Um
You talking about Trey, right? Is it Trey? 1 second. The twins went to Duke.
yeah, him.
What is his name? Hold on 1 second. What team he's with? You said the Wizards, right? I know somebody in the chat will pull it up before I
Yeah,
grab
there we go. Tyrese Jones.
Tyrese Jones. There we go.
Um to me, I consider him like Brunson light in the sense that I don't know if he's ever going to be, you know what I mean, the offensive guy that Brunson is, but just the low turnovers, high basketball IQ, knows how to run the offense, you know what I mean, can shoot the ball, improve year to year. I don't know what his numbers are this year, but I would assume in the starting role, his numbers have gone up.
So yeah, I like Tyrus. I like Tyrus. It's a 6 foot guard.
I would
Could
think he's
run the
under
offense.
contract.
Hmm?
I say I would think he's under contract if he just signed it last year.
No, he just got 1 year left. 14 million.
After this,
No, that's it.
he a free agent.
Yep.
Wow, wow. Well, I guess he'd be on my list of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, expirings. But
Expirings. Um, and I think the Knicks would stay packed with that because of Deuce. Even though Deuce doesn't run the team per se, his knockdown and his defense.
I'm honestly starting to think. I mean, depending on if Grimes is gone or not, or whatever the case, I'm starting to think Deuce could still run.
Yeah, he's
Deuce
good.
could still run alongside a true point guard. You know what I mean? Like, because you know what I mean? I got nothing bad to say about Deuce,
Right.
other than he's not a true facilitator, but I don't think he makes bad decisions. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I think his shot has been on fire all
Oh yeah.
year. You know what I mean? His confidence is growing. So it's really about that part, and he's not the problem. Sometimes you know what I mean? Like, we need we need another ball handler, and it's like it's not his fault. Like, he could be playing well. If that lose gets dwindled down, he's
Mhm.
gonna be the one that Brunson comes in for the most part. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, I forgot the term, but it's not his fault, but he's a casualty basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And look, the main reason of why we are losing our minds right now is just due to injuries, guys. So let's get healthy. Let's see how that looks. Let's go into the buyer's market. Once somebody get bought out or whatever the case is. Um, Even though right now is the opportunity, it's the East is kind of wide open for us to kind of go far. But we still need to. Deuce handle is atrocious.
Let me ask you this, but you think Deuce's handle is worse than Grimes? Because I don't. I
uh,
think they both have the same problem of kind of like picking up the ball whenever there's pressure. You know what I mean? Like, they both get scared and stop.
it's
But
it's
as far as handle,
right,
Deuce has a little handle.
right.
You know what I mean? His problem is he don't got no wiggle.
Yeah. It's weird to talk of the handle aspect because Grimes his handle usually just sets him up to get to his spots, while Deuce handle for him is to really create space for him to either get to the lane or try to set up the offense. So it's two different handle styles. Grimes for me, I like Grimes handle better, like I said, because it's just for him to give you straight buckets. I'm either gonna get to the rack or shoot this three to create space. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything extra. With Deuce, with him having a ball more, he has to create. He has to set the offense. I got to get the little guards off me and do all of that. So Deuce got more responsibilities when it comes to the handle aspect. So it's tough to kind of really compare those two. But I say Grimes. Oh man, Apollo going at it tonight.
Oh man. Well, I appreciate you guys joining. I don't usually do two in a week, but I was trying to get something in before the deadline. Hopefully, um, I know Sim will have you covered if something pop off for sure. So don't worry about that. But yeah, man. Any last words? Anything you working on?
Nah, I have not put out any contents because I've been traveling for work. So I'm definitely trying to get back into the groove, at least do a couple of more panel shows so I could get back into rhythm before I start putting out some content. But definitely
No,
appreciate the Nick and Bruce fan for having me on. Definitely you too, Tone.
no doubt. Yeah, whenever I'm on, man, if you're free, I'll drop the link. It's no pressure. If you're busy, I understand, but always a pleasure to have you on with me. Um, and yeah, if you need me for anything you're doing, man, just reach out, and I got you, man.
I appreciate that, Tone.
No doubt. Yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the MVK fam. Yo, Black is time. We out. Let's
We
go,
out.
Knicks. Let's go get Murray. We out of here.